Mr. Selden, what luck.
Good luck?
Yes. I'm on my way to the Gus Trenner's at Bellamont, and I've missed the 3:15 to Rhinebeck, and there isn't another train till 5:30. How nice of you to come to my rescue.
And what form should my rescue take?
Oh, almost any.
Shall we go over to Sherry's for a cup of tea?
Oh, I'm dying for a cup of tea, but isn't there a quieter place?
I live near here.
At the Benedict still?
Yes, on the top floor.
Is it cool up there?
Come up and see.
I'll take the risk. Oh, how delicious to have a place like this all to oneself.
Even women have been known to enjoy the privileges of a flat.
Governesses, yes, but not poor marriageable girls.
I even knew a girl who once lived in a flat.
Oh, if I could only do over my aunt's drawing room, I know I should be a better woman.
Is it so very bad?
That shows how seldom you come there. Why don't you come oftener?
When I do come, it's not to look at Mrs. Peniston's furniture.
Nonsense. You don't come at all. And yet we get on so well when we meet.
Cream or lemon?
Lemon. Oh, I can't make you out. Of course, there are men who dislike me, and others who are afraid of me. They think I want to marry them. But I don't think that you dislike me. And you can't possibly think that I want to marry you.
No, I absolve you from that.
Well, then?
Well, then, perhaps that's the reason.
The reason for what?
The fact that you don't want to marry me. Perhaps I don't regard that as such a strong inducement to go and see you.
Dear Mr. Selden, it is stupid of you to be disingenuous. And it isn't like you to be stupid. I've been about too long. People are getting tired of me. They are beginning to say that I ought to marry.
Isn't marriage your vocation? Isn't it what you're all brought up for?
I suppose so.
So why not take the plunge and have it over?
You collect, do you? First editions and things.
Mm-hmm.
And Americana. Do you collect Americana?
No, that's rather out of my line.
And Americana are horribly dull, I suppose.
I should fancy so, except to the historian.
And yet they do fetch such fabulous prices, don't they?
Well, only the very rich can afford to buy them.
And you know that I am not rich. But life is very expensive. Do you mind not being rich enough? And having to work? Do you mind that?
Well, the work itself is not so bad. I'm rather fond of the law.
But do you mind enough to have to marry to get out of it?
God forbid.
Ah. You see, there is the difference. A girl must, and a man if he chooses.
Perhaps you'll meet your fate tonight at the Trenners.
I thought you might be going there.
Those big parties bore me.
As they do me.
Then why go?
You forget. It's part of the business.
Good luck at Bellamont.
Miss Bart? Well, of all people.
Oh, Mr. Rosedale, how are you?
Been uptown doing a little shopping?
Yes. I came up to see my dressmaker.
I didn't know there were any dressmakers at the Benedict.
Oh, is that the name of this building?
Yes, I own it. The name means confirmed bachelor.
I'm just on my way to the Trenners.
You must let me take you to the station.
No, thank you. You are very kind, but I wouldn't think of troubling you. Ah, Mr. Gryce, it's you. The seat next to me is empty. Do take it.
So glad.
I suppose you're going to Bellamont.
Yes. For a week.
A whole week. How delicious. And how are you getting on with your Americana?
I've got a few new things.
Your uncle had a very fine collection, I believe.
Yes, he collected for a number of years, but...
I must have the seat next to you, Lily. Oh, Mr. Gryce, how do you do? I came across this morning from Mount Kisco in the motor car. Had to kick up my heels at Garrison's for an hour without even a cigarette. I don't suppose you have a single one left, have you, Lily?
What an absurd question, Bertha.
You don't smoke? Since when have you given it up? And you don't smoke either, Mr. Gryce. Oh. How stupid of me.
It was simply inhuman of Prague to go off now. When I was in Tuxedo, I asked a lot of people down, and I've mislaid the list, and I can't remember who's coming. And this week is going to be a failure, too.
Oh, Judy, as if anybody is ever bored at Bellamont.
Oh, everything has gone wrong, and now Bertha Dorset is furious with me.
She's furious with you? Why?
Because I told her that Lawrence Selden was coming, but he wouldn't after all, and she's quite unreasonable enough to believe it was my fault. I thought that was all over. Oh, so it is, on his side. I believe I shall call up Lawrence on the telephone and tell him he simply must come.
Oh, don't.
Good gracious, Lily. Do you dislike him so much?
Not at all. I like him.
No, I don't say there's any real harm in Bertha, but she delights in making people miserable, especially her husband. Poor George. But she is dangerous. And you're not nasty. And for always getting what she wants in the long run, commend me to a nasty woman.
I thought you were so fond of Bertha.
Oh, I am. It's much safer to be fond of dangerous people. Did you know his father made a fortune out of inventing a device which excludes fresh air from hotels? Who? Why, to be sure, Lily, Percy Gryce. But he's horribly shy and easily shocked.
Why don't you say it, Judy? I have the reputation for being on the hunt for a husband.
Lily, I asked him here on purpose for you.
Percy Gryce and I are becoming very good friends.
You're quite sure you wouldn't like me to telephone Lawrence Selden?
Quite sure.
I do enjoy the quiet. Don't you, Lily? I wish the men would always stay away. It's really much nicer without them. Oh, you don't count, George. One never talks to one's husband.
But wives never like their husbands talking to other women.
Only if the women in question are slightly too eligible or divorced.
Wives may do as they wish. Husbands are expected to be like money, influential but silent.
If divorcees were more acceptable, I might be tempted.
Gus!
You see, I came after all.
Thank you for keeping me from playing bridge tonight, Mr. Grimes.
Not at all, Miss Bart.
I have no head for the game or the rules of betting. I've been dragged into it in the past and have lost an appalling amount of money. Mr. Grice, I've shocked you.
Whilst I do not approve of cards, Miss Bart, I do approve of you.
I hope that means you forgive me, for I am penitent.
Will you go to church tomorrow?
Yes,
May I accompany you, Miss Bart?
of course, Mr. Grice. Good night.
Good night, Miss Bart.
Dear me, am I late?
Late for what?
Wait for whom?
Perhaps you had an earlier engagement.
Yes, I had.
Perhaps I am in the way then. Mr. Selden is at your disposal. I never interfere with Mr. Selden's engagements.
But I have no engagement with Mr. Selden. My engagement was to go to church, and I am afraid that the carriages have left without me. Have they left, do you know?
Yes, I heard them drive away sometime since.
Then I shall have to walk.
It's too late to get there.
Well, I shall have the credit for trying, at any rate. You must be quite breathless.
How fast you walk. I thought I'd never catch up with you.
But I've been sitting here for nearly an hour.
Waiting for me, I hope.
Waiting to see if you would come,
Weren't you sure that I would?
if I waited long enough. But I only had a limited time to give to the experience
Why limited?
by my other engagement.
Oh, now I see why you were getting up on your Americana.
That is why I was waiting for you. To thank you for having given me so many points.
You can hardly do justice to the subject in so short a time. Won't you devote the afternoon to it? We'll take a walk, and you can thank me at your leisure. Let us sit here.
I have broken 2 engagements for you today, and both of them with Percy Grice. How many have you broken for me?
None. My only engagement at Bellamont was with you.
You really came to Bellamont to see me.
Of course I did.
Why?
Because I always like to see what you're doing. You're such a wonderful spectacle.
Well, now that you are here, you can see the effect firsthand.
Oh, I don't flatter myself that my coming here has deflected your course of action by a hair's breadth.
Oh, do give me one. I haven't smoked in days.
Why such unnatural abstinence?
Because it is not considered becoming in a jeune fille à marier. And at the present moment, I am a jeune fille à marier. You must suppose me a dull kind of person if you think I never yield to an impulse.
But I don't suppose that. Your genius lies in converting impulses into intentions.
My genius. My genius would appear to be my ability to do the wrong thing at the right time.
Or vice versa.
Is there any final test of genius but success? I certainly haven't succeeded.
But you will marry someone very rich.
What a miserable future you foresee for me.
Haven't you seen it for yourself?
Of course. But it seems so much darker when you show it to me. Why do you do this to me? Why do you make the things that I have chosen seem hateful to me? If you have nothing to give me instead.
No, I have nothing to give you instead. If I had, it should be yours. You know that.
But you belittle me in being so sure they're the only things I care for.
Isn't it natural that I should try to belittle all the things I can't offer you?
Do you want to marry me?
No, I don't. But perhaps I should, if you did.
It would be a great risk. I have never concealed from you how great. You are a coward.
No. It's you who are the coward.
Are you serious?
Why not? I took no risk in being so.
Why is it that when we meet, we always play this elaborate game?
It's getting late. Let us go down.
I thought Mr. Gryce meant to stay all week.
He did mean to stay. That's the worst of it. It shows that he's running away from you. That Bertha's done her work and poisoned him.
What was it Bertha really told Percy?
Don't ask me. Horrors. All I can say is, Lily, that I can't make you out.
No, he's not completely lost. There are ways.
Whatever you do, do nothing. Oh, Lily, you'll never do anything if you're not serious.
Out of spirits?
I'm a little dull.
Is your last box of Doucet dresses a failure, or did my wife rook you for everything at bridge?
I have to give up Doucet dresses and bridge. I can't afford either anymore. And Judy thinks me a bore. Fact is, she is angry with me.
Angry with you? Nonsense. My wife's devoted to you.
Oh, she is my very best friend. And that is why I mind vexing her. I want to make my peace with her. She has her heart set on my marrying money. A great deal of money.
You don't mean Percy Gryce? Good Lord. How could Judy think you would do such a thing?
Sometimes I think a man understands a woman's motives better than her own sex does.
Good Lord, I could have told Judy that. And by the way, Miss Lily, I wish you'd try to persuade Judy to be civil to Rosedale. I did a neat stroke of business through him last week. If she'd only ask him to come and dine now and then, I could get almost anything out of him. He's going to be richer than all of us one of these days.
Would you do me a favor? A very great favor.
Why, of course.
I don't mean to bore you with all of this, but I am entirely dependent upon my aunt. And though she is very kind, she gives me no regular allowance. I have a tiny income of my own, but it has been badly invested. It seems to bring in less and less each year. And recently I have lost money at cards. I have paid off my debts, of course, but I dare not tell my aunt. I can no longer go on living my present life.
And Percy Gryce?
I can't make that sort of marriage.
And so you gave him the sack, and that's the reason he lit out by train early this morning. If you will trust me, I can make you a handsome sum without endangering your capital.
I am so ignorant about money matters, and I would be so grateful to have a good advisor.
Leave it to me. I'll find a solution.
Really, Lily, you're as careless and frivolous as your poor parents were. I don't see why you go to Bellamont if you don't remember what happened or whom you saw there.
But there was no one new. Just the usual throng.
Was Mr. Selden there?
Yes, he came later.
And Mr. Rosedale, was he there?
No, of course not. Why do you ask?
Oh, passing interest, merely. Mr. Selden tells me that socially Mr. Rosedale is very ubiquitous now.
I have always thought that men like Rosedale and their methods of gaining fortunes were at best questionable, at worst criminal. To grow richer at a time when most people's investments are shrinking strikes me as being in very bad taste.
But society still uses such men, if only obliquely.
If obliquity were a vice, we should all be tainted.
Only someone without family could make such a vulgar remark.
Aunt Julia, you are my family.
Just as I thought. It's extraordinary that I cannot teach the parlor maid to draw the blinds down evenly. Will you see to it, Grace? Jennings, we will take tea in the upstairs sitting room. Lily, you can read me the obituaries.
Oh, Aunt Julia, Grace does it so much better than me. She can make even the most insignificant death seem interesting. I will see to the blinds.
Very well, you may join us later.
It's a Mrs. Haffen, miss. She won't say what she wants.
Do you want to see me?
I have something you might like to see.
You have something belonging to me?
Not exactly.
I don't understand. If it is not mine, then why are you here?
When I was working at the Benedict, I was in charge of cleaning the gentlemen's rooms. Most gentlemen are careful about the letters they get. Burn them in winter, tear them into bits in summer. But Mr. Selden wasn't so particular.
I know nothing of these letters. I have no idea why you have brought them here.
To sell them. I saw you coming out of Mr. Selden's rooms. So I guess they were worth more to you than me.
You promised me we would meet when George was next away from town. Although you have forbidden me to come to you, I will. I cannot bear George near me. When he touches me, I want to scream. His very presence is unbearable. My darling Lawrence, you are my consolation, my only joy. In you I find more freedom and support than I have ever known. Your devoted Bertha.
What do you want me to pay you for them?
150.
100.
I've got to live too.
I have offered you all that I am prepared to pay for these letters.
100.
If you would forgive your enemy, first inflict a hurt on them. Oh, Bertha. Could you have been so indiscreet?
I now pronounce you man and wife. I've never seen you look more lovely.
Oh, Gus.
Lily, I've got a check for you.
Another dividend.
You have both Rosedale and me to thank for it. I've made you $5,000 on his tip and reinvested $4 on your behalf. And there's promise of another big rise.
Well, I can't thank you properly now.
I don't want to be thanked. I want you to be nice to Rosedale and me. I'd like to see you now and then. Come on over to Bellamont. I'll send the motor.
Really, you say the most absurd things. Besides, it's impossible. My aunt is back in town, and I must stay with her for the rest of the season. You must come to see Mrs. Peniston and I the next time you are in town. Then you can tell me how to better invest my small fortune.
This is luck. I was wondering if I should be able to have a word with you.
I haven't recovered my self-respect since you showed me how poor my ambitions were.
On the contrary, I thought that I had been the means of proving they were more important to you than anything else.
Lily! We thought you'd given us the slip.
We've been hunting all over for you. My object in hunting for you was to invite you to my box at the opera on opening night. Gus has promised to come to town on purpose. He's a tremendous admirer of yours. I fancy he'd go a lot farther for the pleasure of seeing you.
The Trenners are my best friends. I think we should all go a long way to see one another.
How's your luck been going lately on Wall Street? I hear that Gus pulled off a nice little pile for you last month.
I had a little money to invest, and Mr. Trenner has been helping me in such matters. I had a lucky turn. Is that what you call it? You've had a great many yourself, I believe.
Is that the latest creation of that dressmaker you go to see at the Benedict? If so, it's a great success. Isn't it, Mr. Selden?
It's nice of you. It would be nicer still if you'd get me a glass of lemonade.
Pleasure.
They met 6 weeks ago at Bertha Dorset's and have been devoted ever since. The engagement is to be announced next week. They say it will be just the nicest marriage possible. One dull fortune marrying another.
Evie Van Osburgh and Percy Grice. Well, well.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Lily Bart as Summer by Watteau.
She's never looked so radiant. I think I like her best in that simple dress. It makes her look like the real Lily. The Lily I know.
The Lily we know. She is herself with a few people only. She has it in her to become whatever she is believed to be. We must think the best of her.
I'll tell her that. She always says you dislike her.
Well, Grace, how was life at Ridgefield?
Quiet. Aunt Peniston sees very little company.
I'm sure your being there gave her much pleasure.
Yes, I'm as reliable as roast mutton. But Aunt Julia is not alone in preferring Lily's erratic brilliance.
You should marry, Grace.
We should all marry, Mr. Selden.
You never speak to me.
I'm never near you long enough.
You think hard things of me.
I think of you. At any rate.
Then why do we never see each other?
I have my law practice, and you're always surrounded by admirers.
There are no admirers at my aunt's house.
Well, then perhaps I might take tea with you at Mrs. Peniston's next week.
Yeah. Come at 4 on Friday. Then we can talk. I have so much to say to you. I need your help. You promised me once you'd help me.
The only way I can help you is by loving you.
love me. But don't tell me so.
Well, I'd hate to miss the carriage.
Selden, going too?
Aren't you staying for supper?
No. When people crowd their rooms so that you can't get near anyone you wish to speak to, I'd sooner do without. My wife was right to stay away. She says life is too short to spend it in breaking new people in. Thank you.
Gus Trenner, you say?
Aunt Peniston, of course I don't mean...
Then what do you mean, Grace? Do people say he's in love with her?
People always say unpleasant things. It is a pity, though, that Lily makes herself so conspicuous.
Conspicuous? Does he mean to divorce, then marry her?
No, it's a flirtation, nothing more.
A flirtation? With a married man? Such things were never heard of in my day.
Look here, Lily. Judy and I have been in town for weeks. When am I going to see you?
You can find me any afternoon at my aunt's. Come see me there and we can have a quiet talk.
Put me off with that at the Van Osberg wedding. The plain truth is, now that you've got what you wanted, you'd rather not see me.
Don't be foolish, Gus. If you want to see me, you can come to my aunt's.
What else is being said?
That Gus Trenner pays her bills.
Rubbish. Lily has her own income, and I provide for her very handsomely.
There are her gambling debts.
What do you mean?
She plays bridge.
Who told you that my niece plays cards for money?
Mrs. Grice told me herself that it was Lily's gambling debts that frightened Percy. In fact, people are inclined to excuse her on that account.
To excuse her? For what?
For accepting the attentions of men like Gus Trenner.
Thank you for telling me, Grace. But I must say this unwelcome information has completely ruined the Mozart for me.
Lily, let's leave before the first act starts. Judy's as cross as two sticks when she's away from Bellamont. Come to the house now.
Is Judy unwell?
Well, a visit from you might be just what's needed.
Very well, Gus. I shall come with you.
Doesn't it look as if it were waiting for the body to be brought down?
Where's Judy?
The fact is, she's not up to seeing anybody.
Do you mean to say she's not well enough to see me?
Devil of a headache. Quite knocked out by it.
In that case, will you have the goodness to call me a cab?
Why must you go?
It is late, and we are alone. I must insist.
It's always the same old story. You can't give me 5 minutes, but are charming to others. I only went to that damned stupid opera to be with you.
I must insist that you call me a cab.
Suppose I won't. What then?
If you force me, I shall go upstairs to Judy.
Sit down. I've got a word to say to you.
If you have anything to say to me, you must say it to me at another time. I shall go upstairs to Judy unless you call me a cab at once.
Go upstairs. Judy isn't there.
Do you mean to say that Judy is not in this house?
She isn't even in town.
I don't believe you.
My wife is still at Bellamont.
If she were not coming to town, she would have telephoned.
She did.
I received no message.
I didn't send any.
How dare you compromise me in this way?
Don't take that high tone with me. I've been patient long enough. After all, the man who pays for the dinner is generally allowed a seat at the table.
I don't know what you mean.
I didn't begin this business. Kept out of the way. But I can see fast enough when I'm being made a fool of. Now you've got what you wanted. Gus isn't needed anymore. Well, that isn't playing fair, Lily. You're dodging the rules of the game, and now you've got to pay.
Do you mean to say that I owe you money? You told me that it was all right.
It was all right. It is all right, Lily. You're welcome to it, all of it. I just want to be thanked a little.
I have thanked you. Or do you wish for payment in kind? If I owe you money, I shall pay you.
You owe me $9,000.
9,000. I will pay you.
I suppose you'll go to Selden or Rosedale for it. Unless you've settled those scores already. And I'm the only one left out in the cold.
What more do you have to say to me?
Go home.
Come here, Lily. I wish to speak with you.
Aunt Julia, it is very late and I am very tired.
I must insist, Lily. You're a bad color, Lily. This incessant rushing about is beginning to tell on you.
I don't think it's that. I've had other worries.
Ah.
The fact is, I owe some money. I have been foolish. There are bills, not tradesmen, that are pressing.
I paid your dressmaker's bill for you last October. But if you owe Madame Celeste another $1,000, she may send me your account.
I owe a good deal more than $1,000.
A good deal more? To whom? Do I know these people?
Some by name, others by reputation.
Then they are of no consequence.
These debts that I speak of are different. The fact is, I've been playing cards a good deal.
It's true, then. You play cards for money. Do you play on Sundays?
You are hard on me, Aunt Julia. I've never really cared for cards, and one hates to be thought of as priggish, and one drifts into doing what others do. I have had a dreadful lesson. If you help me out this time, I promise.
You needn't make any promises. It's unnecessary. When I offered you a home, I didn't undertake to pay your gambling debts.
Aunt Julia, you don't mean to say that you won't help me.
I shall certainly not do anything to give the impression that I countenance your behavior.
Aunt Julia, I will be disgraced.
I consider that you are disgraced, Lily. And now I must ask you to leave me. This scene has been extremely painful to me, and I have my own health to consider. And tell Jennings that I wish to see no one until tomorrow afternoon. And then only Grace Stepney.
Grace? Yes, Aunt Julia.
Lily, it is after midnight. What will Aunt Julia think?
I don't care. I couldn't go to my room. I hate it so.
Lily, what has happened? Can't you tell me?
I thought that I could manage my own life. But I have been foolish, Grace. Foolish to the point of being compromised.
By whom? Mr. Selden?
No, not Mr. Selden. I have been careless and imprudent about money. I am frightened to think what I owe. Grace, you know Lawrence. If I asked him to help me, told him why, would he loathe me if I told him everything?
No. You must not do that. He is like other men. They have minds like moral flypaper. They can forgive a woman almost anything except the loss of her good name. If you wish to keep your reputation intact, Lily, tell him nothing.
But he must have spoken to you about me. What does he really think of me?
We have never discussed you, Lily. I have no idea what Mr. Selden thinks.
But I must trust in his good faith. I will write to him and ask him to come. Good night, Grace.
Good night, Lily. Lawrence! Lawrence!
Jennings, is my aunt downstairs?
No, Miss Bart. Mrs. Peniston left for Richfield early this morning with Miss Stepney.
Oh. Thank you. Would you see that the boy delivers this at once to Mr. Selden at the Benedict?
Yes, miss.
And would you serve tea at 4 in the downstairs sitting room and show Mr. Selden in there as soon as he arrives?
Yes, Miss Bart.
Mr. Rosedale.
Pretty well done. Yes, very well done. Why do you put up this kind of bluff? Why aren't you straight with me? I know that there have been times when you've been worried. A girl like you shouldn't have worries.
You are quite right, Mr. Rosedale. I have had worries. I have been careless about money.
I'm offering you the chance to turn your back on those once and for all. I know you're not in love with me. You're not even fond of me. Yet.
I am very much flattered by your offer. But I should be selfish and ungrateful if I made the reason for accepting your generosity financial.
Miss Bart, I generally get what I want in life. I have attained a certain social position, and I have the means to maintain it. Now all I want is the woman. The right woman to share both with me. Now I know you have a fondness for luxury and amusement, and to not have to settle for it. I can provide the style and the means of settling.
You are mistaken on one point, Mr. Rosedale. Whatever I enjoy, I am prepared to pay for.
I have spoken too plainly. I didn't mean to give offense.
You must give me time to consider your kindness.
Goodbye, Miss Bart. You will consider my proposal.
Of course.
alone, Lily?
Yes. Quite alone, Bertha. Everyone has gone away. My aunt to Richfield, everyone else to Europe.
Except Lawrence Selden, who's gone to London.
How unsophisticated of him.
Will you join us then on a cruise to the Mediterranean?
Well, I'm not sure that I'm able to.
Oh, you'll be doing me a great service. You're always so attentive to George, listening to his old stories, which he's been telling since the Civil War. You're the only one with enough fortitude to take an interest.
Nonsense. George can be charming.
Good. You'll come then.
Yes. It'll be delightful. Goodbye.
Mr. Selden.
Mrs. Fisher.
Do join us. What brings you to Monte Carlo?
I finished my business with a client in London, so I decided to come down and renew my objective interest in life.
Ah, so you are not so far removed from being manipulated by the strings of society as one might think.
Mrs. Fisher, none of us are.
We're starving to death because we can't decide where to lunch.
Of course one gets the best things at the terrace. But all the Americans go there now.
I do believe the Dorsets are back.
It's their yacht. The Sabrina. Oh, yes.
Je fais souvent ce rêve étrange et pénétrant d'une femme inconnue et que j'aime, et qui m'aime et qui n'est chaque fois ni tout à fait la même, ni tout à fait une autre, et même, et me comprend car elle me comprend, et mon cœur, transparent pour elle seule, hélas, cesse d'être un problème pour elle seule. et les moiteurs de mon front blême, elle seule, laissait rafraîchir en pleurant. Est-elle brune, blonde ou rousse, je l'ignore. Son nom, je me souviens qu'il est...
He's reading Verlaine to her now. In French.
Well, what's the use of mincing matters? We all know what Bertha brought Lily abroad for. The Silverton affair is at the acute stage. It's necessary that George be distracted, and I'm sure Lily does distract him. A clever woman would know just when to play her cards right, but Lily's never been very clever in that way. I do hope there hasn't been a row.
Where the devil are they?
Bertha!
I saw her.
How did you find London, Mr. Selden? More agreeable than New York?
In some ways, yes. Nevertheless, I stopped over to see you.
To see me? Or to see an older friend?
I beg you to leave the yacht.
To leave? What do you mean? What has happened?
Nothing. But if something should, why be in the way of it?
How would you think that I would leave Bertha?
You have yourself to think of, you know.
Nothing will happen.
Of course not. I'm sure.
Have you seen Bertha?
No. Is she not up yet?
Not up yet. Has she gone to bed? Do you know what time she came aboard this morning? At 7.
7? Was there an accident?
There was no accident. I waited for them all night.
Why didn't you call me to share your vigil?
I don't think you would have cared for the denouement.
The denouement. Isn't that too big a word for such a small incident?
Don't! Don't.
I only want to help you.
You do so by being sweet and patient with me, but you can't want to see me ridiculous. If it hadn't been for you, I'd have ended it long ago. I'll go to see Selden.
No. No.
Why not? One lawyer will do just as well as another.
Very well. Go and see Mr. Selden, then. You should have time before dinner.
I suppose I ought to say good morning.
I tried to see you, but you weren't up.
No, I got to bed late. After we separated during the fete, we thought we should wait, but we missed you.
You missed us. But I thought you didn't get back to the yacht until this morning.
Who told you that?
George.
Is that his version? Poor George. He's had one of his attacks again. It is very bad for him to be worried. Whenever anything upsetting happens, it always brings on an attack.
Anything upsetting?
Yes. Such as having you so conspicuously on his hands during the small hours. You know, my dear, you're rather a responsibility in such a scandalous place after midnight.
Well, really? Considering it was you who burdened him with the responsibility.
A married man should not have the burden of being seen alone with a single woman.
Yes, we were alone. Is that so dreadful? After all, we lost you as much as you mislaid us.
Oh. So now it is my fault for not having the superhuman cleverness to find you in that dreadful crowd. Or the imagination to believe that you wouldn't wait for us on the quay until we managed to meet you.
No, simply by us all keeping together.
Keeping together. Lily, you are not a child to be led by the hand.
Nor to be lectured, Bertha.
Lecture you? Heaven forbid. I was merely trying to give you a friendly hint. But usually it's the other way around, isn't it? I am expected to take hints, not to give them.
Hints? From me to you?
Negative ones, merely. What not to be, or to do, or to see. But, my dear, if you will let me say so, I didn't understand that one of my negative duties was not to warn you when you carried your imprudence too far.
Did you see George today?
Yes.
Well, what happened? What will happen?
Nothing, as yet. And nothing in the future, I think.
You're sure?
I'm not sure, but I'm a good deal surer. No, thank you. Assume everything is as usual.
Every time he tells us the squirrel is big.
Before I go, I want to leave you the prize.
It is charming of you to remember me.
What you really mean is that you've snubbed the brides and you know they know it.
Carrie!
If you'd even managed to have them invited to the Sabrina once, especially when royalty was coming.
Stay over and I'll get the Duchess to dine with them.
I shan't stay over. Gormers have paid for my salary and I leave tonight. But get the Duchess to dine with them all the same. They'd be much obliged.
Do you sing? Really?
Come on, Lily, if you're going back to the yacht.
Miss Bart is not returning to the yacht.
Bertha.
Bart, there has been some misunderstanding. Some mistake.
Miss Bart remains here. And I think, George, we had better not detain our guests any longer.
I have some business to attend to, and it is easier for me to remain ashore for the night. Mr. Selden, you promised to see me to my camp. Do you know of a quiet hotel?
That you can go to alone? Impossible.
Well, it's too wet to sleep outside.
There must be someone you can go to.
At this hour?
God, if you had only listened to me.
Not now.
You must go immediately to the Stepneys.
I can't. You mustn't ask me to. You don't know Gwen.
Come, you must appear to have gone there directly.
What if she refuses?
She won't. Trust me.
I, Julia Grace Peniston, being of sound mind and body, declare this to be my last will and testament, hereby revoking and declaring utterly void all wills and clauses of wills heretofore made by me. It is my will and desire that after my death, all my just debts to whomsoever shall be paid by my executives hereinafter named. Second, it is my will and desire.
Lily will get everything, of course.
Aunt Julia was always a just woman.
Well, it's only about 400,000.
8, and to my niece, Miss Lily Bart, I bequeath the sum of $10,000. 9, and the residue of my estate I bequeath to my dear niece and namesake, Grace Julia Stepney, given under my hand and seal 22nd of May, 1906.
My dear Grace, I am so glad. What sweet shall we have today?
Lily.
My dear Carrie, you wouldn't let me have the head waiter see that I've nothing to live on but my Aunt Julia's legacy. Think of Bertha Dorset's satisfaction if she came and found us lunching on cold mutton and tea.
I was horrid to you in Monte Carlo, Lily. I'm fairly ashamed of myself, and I've wanted to tell you so ever since, and that's the truth.
Well, what is truth? Where a woman is concerned, it's a story that's easiest to believe. If I'd have gotten the money, no one would dare ignore me. And if they did, it wouldn't matter. I'd be independent of them.
Oh, Lily. It's so unjust. Grace Stepney must feel she has no right to that inheritance.
Anyone who knew how to please Aunt Julia has a right to her money.
But she was devoted to you.
Be honest, Carrie. She disapproved of my going with the Dorsets, and she heard of my break with them. After all, Bertha did turn me off the yacht. I must know where I stand, Carrie. I must know what is being said of me.
I don't listen.
Well, one hears such things without listening.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Fisher.
Carrie, how delightful to see you.
How delightful, Judy.
Oh, Lily. What a pleasure it is to see you. Gus?
Miss Bart. I must see the head waiter, Judy.
Where Judy leads, all the world will follow.
Not your real friends. Meanwhile, what do you say to putting a few things in a trunk and spending the summer with me and the Gormers?
To take me out of my friend's way, you mean?
To keep you out of their sight till they realize how much they miss you. Besides, the Gormers have taken a tremendous fancy to you. Oh, I know they're not quite your set. They're kind of a social Coney Island. But anyone is welcome who can make a lot of noise and doesn't put on airs.
Yes, I shall come. Well, what shall it be? Courgette or pêche à la melba?
Sit here.
The more I think of my idea of getting you here, the better I like it.
More noise, more color, more slapdash sociability.
But greater good nature, too. Less rivalry.
Yes, it's true. Soon everybody will be leaving. For Newport and Bar Harbor and Long Island. And me to a hotel in broiling New York.
Lily, you must marry as soon as you can.
Do you mean to recommend me to a good man's love?
No, I don't think either of my candidates would answer to that description.
Either. There are actually two.
Well, perhaps I ought to say 1.5.
Other things being equal, I think I should prefer half a husband. Who is he?
George Dorset.
Oh.
Don't fly out at me till you hear my reasons. Since they got back from Europe, things have been going very badly. Bertha's behavior has strained even George's credulity. They're over at their place now, but I think the end will come soon.
The end will never come. Bertha will always get him back exactly when she wants him.
Oh, Lily. He wouldn't stay with her 10 minutes if he knew.
Knew?
If he had positive proof, I mean.
Please, Carrie, let us drop the subject. It's too odious to me. And the second candidate? We mustn't forget him.
Sim Rosedale.
I think, Carrie, I should like to go for a walk.
Miss Bart. I've been hoping to meet you. I should have written if I dared. I wanted to apologize.
Don't let us speak of it. I was very sorry for you.
You must let me explain. I was deceived.
I'm still more sorry for you then. But you must see that I am not exactly the person with whom this subject can be discussed.
Why not? It's you of all people I owe an explanation to.
No explanation is necessary. The situation was perfectly clear to me.
Miss Bart, don't turn away from me.
You must understand that after everything that happened, we cannot be friends again.
Wasn't I punished enough at the time? Is there to be no respite?
I should have thought you had complete respite in the reconciliation which was effected at my expense.
Don't put it that way.
All I ask you to understand is that after the use that Bertha made of me, after all that her behavior has since implied, it is impossible that you and I should meet.
Please help me.
I am sorry. There is nothing I can do. You must have other friends, other advisors.
I never had a friend like you. Besides, you're the only person who knows. After all, you were there in Monte Carlo.
You are mistaken. I saw nothing. I know nothing.
Just say what you know, and the way will be clear for us both.
I know nothing.
to sacrificing both of us.
I know nothing. Absolutely nothing.
He's gonna get you.
Come home. You ought to be in bed.
Yes, Mother. Good night, Miss Bart.
Good night, Edith. Where are the others?
I am your only fellow guest, Miss Lily.
I think Carrie was trying to be subtle.
You look tired.
I've been sleeping badly.
In fact, I came especially to see you on a delicate matter. I hope you can believe that.
Thank you, Mr. Rosedale. I do believe what you say. And I am ready to marry you whenever you wish.
But Miss Lily...
For I suppose that is what you do wish. And though I was unable to consent when last you spoke to me, I am ready, now that I know you so much better, to entrust my happiness to your hands.
Oh, my dear Miss Lily, you made me feel that my suit was so hopeless that I really had no intention of renewing it.
I have no one to blame but myself if I gave you the impression that my decision was final. Before we bid each other goodbye, I want at least to thank you for once having thought of me as you did.
Why do you talk of saying goodbye? Can't we still be good friends all the same?
What is your idea of being good friends? Seeing me without asking me to marry you?
Well, that's about the size of it.
I like your frankness. But I am afraid that our friendship can hardly continue on those terms.
Miss Lily, what I mean...
What you mean to say is that I am not as desirable a match as once you thought me.
Yes, that is what I do mean. I don't believe the stories about you, but my not believing them won't alter the situation.
Well, if they are not true, doesn't that alter the situation?
You know as well as I do, last year you wouldn't look at me. Now you appear willing to do so. What's changed in the interval? Your situation. Then you thought you could do better.
You think you can?
Yes, I do. I've done very well. I've placed Wall Street under obligations that only Fifth Avenue can repay. And I know that the quickest way to queer oneself with the right people is to be seen with the wrong ones. I want to avoid mistakes.
I understand. Goodbye, Mr. Rosedale.
Why don't you use those letters of hers? Don't ask me how I know you bought them. I know. And I don't suppose you bought those letters simply because you wanted to collect autographs. You see, I know where you stand. You have Bertha completely in your power. You wish to be rehabilitated socially, and you have the means of your redemption. You see, in a deal like this, nobody comes out with perfectly clean hands. If you're going to fight Bertha, don't inflict an open injury. Reduce it to a private transaction.
Give and take, you mean?
Yes. As in business.
Or politics.
You see how simple it is? There's no point frightening Bertha into line. You have to keep her there. That's my part of the business. That's what I'm offering you.
To reconcile with Bertha, and then you will marry me.
What do you say, Miss Lily?
You are mistaken in both the facts and what you infer from them.
Well, I'll be damned. I suppose it's because the letters are to him. I thought we understood each other.
We do now. Come in.
It's such a blessing to have a quiet few weeks here.
Thank you for inviting me here, Carrie. I do love it in Tuxedo.
Yes, it's a pleasant house. One of my few treasured possessions.
How are the Bryes?
Louisa Bry's a stern taskmaster. Talk about love making people jealous. It's nothing to social ambition. By the way, I had a visit from Mattie Gormor the other day. She was with Bertha Dorset, of all people.
No doubt the rabbit always thinks it is fascinating the anaconda.
Now that they're fast friends, I think Mattie will sacrifice anything for her.
Including me?
My dear, the world is vile.
Mrs. Hatch, I'm not dressed.
Lily, it doesn't matter. This is the 20th century, not the Dark Ages. As soon as you've eaten, come to my rooms. We've just got to go through my schedule. I'm leaving in 20 minutes, so please be quick. I cannot find my prescription, Lily. Do you have it? I'm always losing them.
You usually leave them on your bureau, Mrs. Hatch.
Oh, of course I do. Get it filled for me today, Lily. If I don't have my chloral at night, I never sleep. And I have to see my beauty doctor today, otherwise I cannot face society. The manicure will have to wait until tomorrow. I'm just not up to it today, so put her off. Don't look sour, Lily. She won't mind. She never minds. After lunch, I shall go to Sherry's for tea. Then this evening, I'm playing bridge with my lawyer. 8, I think. So I'll try to go for my fitting tomorrow morning, but only if it doesn't interfere with yard exhibition at 4. Then supper. No, the theater first and then supper.
But Mrs. Hatch, if you don't tell me in advance of these changes, how shall I be able to keep your diary accurately?
Oh, Lily, engagements are made to be broken, especially with tradespeople. They expect it.
Yes, Mrs. Hatch.
Oh, and by the way, Lily, on Friday I'm dining with Melville Stancy and some people called the Gormers.
Yes, Mrs. Hatch.
And don't forget my prescription, Lily. It's on the bureau.
Mrs. Fisher was anxious to know how you were getting on.
Why didn't she look me up herself, then?
She was afraid of being importunate. You see, no such scruples restrained me.
Then you have come to be of some use to me?
Yes.
So what am I to do with you?
You could talk things over with me.
What makes you think that I have anything in particular to talk about?
My initiative doesn't go beyond putting myself at your disposal. I shouldn't have come if I had thought I could be of no use to you. Do you know where you are?
Of course I know where I am.
You must let me take you away from here.
If you have come to say disagreeable things about Mrs. Hatch...
It is precisely your relationship with her that concerns me.
My relationship with Mrs. Hatch is one that I have no reason to be ashamed of. She has helped me earn a living when my old friends were quite content to see me starve.
Nonsense. Starvation is not the only alternative. I happen to know that your aunt's legacy could make you modestly independent.
Well, what you don't happen to know is that I owe every penny of that legacy.
Good God.
Every penny. And more besides. I have no money except my small income, and I need to earn money in order to keep myself alive.
I should be happier to see you out of this particular employment.
But I should not.
I simply wish to point out to you the false position you have placed yourself in.
I suppose by that you mean my being on the outside of society. But I have long been excluded from it. And I remember your once telling me that it was only those on the inside who took the difference seriously.
The question is, Mrs. Hatch's desire to be inside may put you in the position I call false. You cannot want this.
You already told me that the sole object of my upbringing was to teach me to get what I want. Now why not assume that that is precisely what I am doing now?
I have never thought of you as a successful example of that kind of upbringing.
Well, give me a little more time. I may still do credit to my training.
That was undignified.
Where does dignity end and rectitude begin?
Good day, Miss Bart.
Good day, Mr. Selden.
She asked me to offer the viral hat. How do I know? Red light and her hair's frizzed out. The viral hat. It'll be ready. She asked me to offer the viral hat.
Took her to the Aryan ball. Andy had a haircut in both ways.
How do I know? Her hair is light and her hair's frizzed out.
And he didn't. I wouldn't have either. I thought she acted crazy.
I offered her viral hat. It's light and her hair's frizzed out. Viral hat. How do I know? She asked me to offer the viral hat. How do I know? Red light and her hair's frizzed out.
She got $5 and a picture in the paper. The hat. No, she got that yesterday.
No, the one with the green paradise. It'll be ready right off.
Madam asked me to alter that viral hat. You know, she's tall, slight, but her hair's all frizzed out. A lot like Mamie Leach. Only thinner.
Miss Bart, look at these spangles. Every one of them sewed on crooked.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I'm not well.
If you can't do better, I'll give the hat to Miss Kilroy. Go back to binding edges.
Miss Bart.
Miss Bart, I must draw your attention to the fact that your work is poor and your attendance irregular.
Miss Haynes is right. I am clumsy and slow to learn. I have been indisposed lately. But I will try to improve.
It's too late for that. I took you on as an untrained apprentice as a favor to Mrs. Fisher, but against my better judgment. As the season is nearly over, I'm afraid that I will have to dispense with your services. I trust you'll find a position more suited to your skills.
How are you, Grace?
Her memory is everywhere. The whole house. And you, Lily? How are you? You look dreadfully tired.
I don't sleep at night.
Since when?
I can't remember. There are other worries. Dreadful things.
What things?
Poverty. I can't think of anything worse, can you? I can't go on this way much longer. Do you have any idea when the legacies will be paid?
No, Lily. No one has received them yet. Not even me.
The truth is, I need money, Grace. Would you be willing to lend me the amount of my legacy?
You must be patient. Remember how beautifully patient Aunt Julia always was.
But you will get everything, Grace. It would be so easy for you to borrow 10 times the amount that I am asking for.
Borrow?
I am at the end of my tether.
Do you imagine for a moment that I would raise money upon my expectations from Aunt Julia? My Lily, if you must know the truth, it was the idea of your being in debt that brought on her last illness.
You won't help me then?
If there is anything I can do to make you realize the folly of your course, and how deeply she disapproved of it, I shall feel it is the truest way of making up to you for her loss.
Thank you, Grace. It was good of you to see me. Goodbye.
Can I help? Mrs. Hatch?
Yes.
You mustn't increase the dose, Mrs. Hatch.
Of course not.
Miss Lily? What's the matter?
I'm a little tired. It's nothing. Stay with me a moment, please.
You can't stay here. Let me take you to the Longworth for some tea. Take your tea strong. I haven't seen you in ages. I wondered what had become of you.
I have joined the working classes. I was trying to learn to become a milliner.
You can't be serious.
Perfectly serious.
I understood that you were with Mrs. Hatch.
She dismissed me 2 months ago. After she had gotten into society, it seems my reputation had become a social liability. Since then, I have been obliged to work for my living.
Well, that wasn't for you anyhow.
I must go.
No. Rest a little longer. What on earth did you mean when you said you were learning to become a milliner?
Just what I said. I am an apprentice at Madame Regina's. I was an apprentice at Madame Regina.
But I understood that you had received a legacy from your aunt.
$10,000. But it isn't paid until spring, and anyway, I owe it already.
The whole 10,000?
Every penny. I think Gus Trenner spoke to you once about having made me some money in stocks. He made me about $9,000. I knew nothing about business. I thought that he had invested my own money. In fact, what he had made, he had given me. It was meant in kindness, but it was not the sort of obligation I could remain under. I was incredibly stupid. I spent the money before I realized my mistake. And so my aunt's legacy must go to pay it back. That is why I must now work.
But that will clean you out altogether.
Altogether. Yes.
Miss Lily, if you want my backing,
Thank you. Your tea has been a tremendous backing. I feel equal to anything now.
Surely this isn't the place.
Yes. I room and board here. I have lived too long on my friends.
You can't go on living here.
I've gone over my expenses very carefully, and I rather think that I shall be able to manage it.
That's not what I mean.
It is what I mean. I shall be out of work now.
What a way for you to talk. You in a place like this.
My situation is nothing exceptional.
But you are. It's an outrage. Look here. It's none of my business. But you must accept help from somebody. You spoke to me of your debt to Gus Trenner. Well, I'll lend you the money to pay him. Let me finish. It'll be purely a business arrangement. How can you have anything against that?
Only this. That is exactly what Gus Trenner proposed. Once the debt is paid, I shall have no security. I have been compromised once. I cannot be so again. I am very grateful for your kindness, but it is impossible. You must see that.
We must try to think of your future.
If you only knew what little difference that makes now.
At least let me tell Selden where you're living.
It will do no good.
Please.
Very well. You may tell him if you wish.
If only you would let me help you. You could wipe your feet on them. Why don't you use the letters? It would be so simple. It is so simple.
tell you about the plight of the poor people of Russia under the Tsar!
Would you please inform Mrs. Dorset that Miss Lily Bart wishes to speak with her?
Mrs. Dorset is not at home, Miss Bart.
Then I should like to speak with Mr. Dorset.
I'm sorry, Miss Bart, but Mr. and Mrs. Dorset left for the country 2 days ago.
Oh.
Shall I take a message?
No. No message.
I can recommend the armchair.
I came to say that I am sorry for the way we parted. For what I said to you that day at Mrs. Hatch's.
I was sorry, too. You look tired. Do sit down. Why, you're drenched. Let me make you some tea.
No. I must go in a moment. I must go. I may not see you again for a long time. And I wanted to tell you that I have never forgotten the things that you said to me at Pellamont. That they have helped keep me from becoming the person that many people thought me to be.
I'm glad. But nothing I have said has really made the difference. The difference is in yourself.
No, don't say that. That is all that I have lived on. Don't take that from me. We resist the great temptations. But it is the little ones that eventually pull us down. I remember you saying that such a life could never satisfy me. And I was ashamed to admit that it could. That is what I wanted to thank you for. I have tried. I have tried hard. But life is difficult. And I am a useless person. And now I am on the rubbish heap.
Lily, can I help you?
You told me once that you could help me only by loving me. Well, you did love me for a moment, and it helped me. But that moment is gone, and I let it go. And one must go on living.
Lily, you mustn't speak in this way. Things may change, but you could never go out of my life.
Let us be friends. Then I shall feel safe. Whatever happens.
What do you mean? What's going to happen?
Nothing. Nothing is going to happen. But I should like some tea now. Goodbye, Lawrence. $10,000. $10,000.
It's a great mercy.
May I see her alone?
Will it take long?
It won't take long.
Thank you.